Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story comes from Jeff, a retiree from the US. He came to Thailand looking for peace and a little sunshine, but what he found was something he never saw coming, and it nearly broke him. Make sure to subscribe and let's begin. My name's Jeff. I'm 64, retired and living in Thailand. I didn't move here chasing women or some wild fantasy. Not at first, anyway. I came here because I was tired of everything back home. The cold, the bills, the doctors who barely looked you in the eye, and the silence of my empty house since my wife passed away. She was the love of my life. We had 36 years together. Cancer took her faster than I ever thought it would. After that, I tried to keep busy. I did the garden, I played a bit of golf, even tried those dating apps for seniors, which was a mistake I wouldn't wish on anyone. It just didn't feel like life anymore. It felt like waiting. So I started looking into retirement overseas. Somewhere warm, somewhere where I could afford a decent life without counting every penny, somewhere I didn't feel invisible just because I was over 60. Thailand kept popping up. Everyone talked about the weather, the healthcare, the food. But let's be honest, what really caught my eye was seeing guys my age walking around with women half their age who actually looked happy to be with them. It made me wonder, were they lucky? Or was it just different over there? I told myself I was going for the healthcare and sunshine, and that was partly true. But deep down, I wanted companionship again. I wanted someone to talk to laugh with, maybe hold hands with if that wasn't too much to ask. I wasn't looking for anything crazy, just a bit of joy in whatever time I had left. So I sold my house in Oregon, packed up what little I cared to keep, and booked a one-way flight to Chiang Mai. The plan was simple. Settle in, find a good place to live, sign up for the Expat health insurance, and take it slow. What I didn't realize back then was that I wasn't just walking into a new country. I was walking into a new version of myself, one that was more vulnerable, more hopeful, and more easily fooled than I ever expected. I'd been in Chiang Mai for about 2 weeks when I met her. Her name was Jenny, at least that's what she told me. I'm not even sure anymore if that was her real name, but back then I didn't question it. Why would I? I wasn't exactly living it up in those first couple weeks. I'd found a small apartment on the edge of the old city, close enough to walk places but far enough that it was quiet at night. My days were pretty simple. Morning coffee at the cafe downstairs, maybe a walk through the market or a visit to the mall just to get out of the heat. I liked watching people more than anything. Seeing the young couples, the old expats sipping beer at noon, the monks in orange robes floating down the sidewalks. But one night, I felt restless. I didn't want to go back to that apartment and sit in the dark with nothing but YouTube and air conditioning. I'd passed a few bars on Loicro Road before, never stepped in. That night I figured, why not? The bar was small, kind of dark, and had a red glow from the signs outside. There were maybe 6 or 7 girls sitting around, laughing, scrolling on their phones. They barely looked up when I walked in. I almost turned right around and walked out, but then one of them stood up and walked over. She was petite, long black hair, wearing jeans and a tight top that said, "Love me forever," in big glittery letters. I thought that was funny at the time. Maybe I should have taken it as a warning. She smiled at me. Not a big fake grin, just a soft, tired smile like she wasn't really expecting anything but was trying to be polite. "You alone?" she asked. I nodded. "First time in Thailand." She sat down next to me like it was the most natural thing in the world. Told me her name was Jenny. Said I looked kind. Said she liked older men because they're more gentle and serious. I remember thinking, is she talking about me? I bought her a drink. We played a game of Connect 4. She laughed when I won, even though I think she let me win. We talked for hours, or rather, I talked and she smiled and nodded a lot. Said she didn't speak much English, but she understood me just fine. Before I knew it, the bar was closing and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go back to my apartment and sit in that silence again. So I asked if she wanted to come with me. She said yes, like it was no big deal. Looking back, I think that was the moment I let myself believe she might actually care about me. Not just the money, not just the foreigner novelty. Me. I didn't know it yet, But that night, I walked straight into the trap, and I did it with a smile on my face. After that night, Jenny became part of my daily routine. I'd wake up, message her, and we'd meet for lunch or coffee. Sometimes we'd stay in, watch a movie on Netflix, or just sit on the balcony while she scrolled through her phone. She was quiet but affectionate. She'd reach for my hand, lean her head on my shoulder, laugh at my dumb jokes. I didn't feel 64 when I was with her. I felt seen. I started paying her bar fine every week so she didn't have to work. She said she didn't like being in the bar anyway, and that made me feel like I was doing something good. I wasn't just a customer. I was helping her. She told me things that made me feel closer to her. How her father died when she was young. How her mum was sick back in Zion. How her little brother couldn't finish school because they didn't have money for uniforms or books. And me, well, I'd just sold my house back in the States. I had savings. I had my pension. I didn't mind helping her out. At first it was little things, money for her mum's medicine, a few $1,000 to send to her family, a new phone because hers was too old. Then she said her landlord was raising the rent, so I helped her move to a nicer condo and offered to pay for a few months up front. Looking back now, I see how fast it all moved, but at the time, it felt like love. It felt like building something. When I mentioned going on a trip together, maybe to Krabi or Phuket, she lit up, held my hand across the table, and said she'd never been on a real vacation before, said she dreamed of going on a boat, seeing the ocean. I told her we could make that happen. I was already imagining what life with her could be. Maybe I'd marry her one day. Maybe she'd take care of me when I got older. Maybe I could help her build a better life. Maybe. I didn't realize it at the time, but those were the words that should have warned me. Maybe is what you say when something isn't quite right, but you don't want to see it. But I didn't want to see anything bad. I wanted to believe I'd found something good. So I gave more, and she took it, always with a soft kiss and a thank you that made me feel like I mattered again. By the second month, Jenny had pretty much moved in with me. She still kept her condo. I was paying for it after all, but she stayed at my place most nights, woke up next to me, made coffee, smiled like we were an old married couple. And I liked it. I liked feeling needed. But there were cracks, small ones, the kind you ignore when you don't want to lose the feeling of being loved. She started talking about wanting to open a nail salon, said she had a friend who could help her, but she needed capital, about 300,000 baht. I asked if she had a business plan. She laughed and said, "No, but I know what I do." Said she was tired of the bar, tired of relying on men. That hit me in the chest. I thought maybe she was talking about me. Maybe she wanted to stand on her own 2 feet. I told her I'd think about it. That night, she barely touched her food. She kept looking at her phone. Then when we got back to the apartment, she cried, not sobbing, just quiet tears, like a child who thinks they're about to be abandoned. "I thought you believed in me," she whispered. "God help me, I caved." I wired her the money the next morning. She kissed my cheek and said I was the best man she'd ever met. That she loved me. She said that word a lot, love. But only after I did something big, when I brought her new gold earrings, I love you. When I bought her that new phone, I love you. When I paid off her brother's school bill, I love you. It started to feel like every time I did something for her, I earned another day of affection. At first, I told myself that's how love works everywhere. You give, they give, but I was the only one giving. She never asked about my day, never asked about my wife, even though I told her I was a widower. She'd nod when I talked, but I started to realize she wasn't really listening. One night, I brought it up, said I felt like I was doing everything. She got quiet, stared at her plate, and then looked at me with tears in her eyes. "You don't trust me," she said. I panicked, apologized, told her I didn't mean it like that. She nodded and said she was just tired, but something shifted after that. The warmth started to cool. Her smile became more routine, and I started to feel like I was renting love, not living it. I had spent around $30,000 by that point, $30,000 in less than 3 months, and I was still telling myself it was worth it. It was a Tuesday night when I finally woke up. We'd just come back from dinner. We went out for some nice street food and a few beers. I'd noticed Jenny had been glued to her phone all evening, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to start another "you don't trust me" conversation. But that night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed, and it lit up, right in front of me. A message from someone saved as Tony. It said, "Miss you already, babe. That thing you do with your tongue. Can't wait for next time." I didn't touch the phone. I didn't even breathe. When she came out of the bathroom, towel around her, humming like nothing had happened, I just sat there. I asked her calmly, "Who's Tony?" She froze. Eyes darted to her phone, and without even reading the message, she said, "That's my cousin." I laughed. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because I realized I'd been so stupid it was almost comical. I told her I saw the message. She went quiet for a second, then turned it all around on me. "You look at my phone? You don't respect me? You think I'm your dog?" She started crying, loud, dramatic, messy tears, screamed that I was paranoid, that I was old and jealous and trying to control her. Then, just as suddenly, she stopped, wiped her face, looked at me dead in the eye and said, "You not give me anything this week. Maybe I go back to bar." And there it was, the real Jenny. Not the shy, sweet girl from the bar, not the one who kissed my cheek when I handed her an envelope of cash, not the one who said she dreamed of owning a salon, just someone who knew how to play the part until she got what she wanted. I told her to leave. She laughed in my face, said, "You think you can kick me out? I'm not your dog." She threw a glass at the wall, shattered it, started yelling in Thai, pacing the room like a caged animal. I actually got scared. This wasn't just a tantrum, this was full-on rage. I called my Thai friend, the only one I'd made so far, and asked him what to do. He said, "You should have called me sooner. That girl, everyone knows her. She's done this before." Somehow, that hit even harder than the glass. She wasn't just using me, she'd done it to others. I was just the latest old fool with a fat bank account and a lonely heart. Eventually, she left, slammed the door so hard it knocked a picture off the wall, and I just sat there, alone. Again. But this time, it wasn't silence I was sitting in. It was anger, shame, and the bitter taste of being made a complete fool. It's been months since Jenny walked out of my apartment for the last time, and I'm still angry, not just at her, at myself. $50,000. That's what I spent in 3 months. I went through the bank statements, flights, hotels, fancy dinners, shopping, the so-called salon investment, the iPhone, the gold necklace, the rent, the motorbike, the emergency money for her mum, her cousin, her supposed sick child who probably didn't even exist. I funded a fantasy, and now I sit here with nothing but silence and rage echoing around the same 4 walls. Every day, I replay conversations in my head. Her little sighs, her fake tears, the way she'd say my name when she wanted something, how I used to smile at that. I thought it was cute. I thought it meant something. Jesus. I see guys like me now, new to Thailand, wide-eyed, sipping beer with a 20-something who's giggling like she's in love, and I want to grab them by the shirt and shake them, tell them to wake up, tell them love doesn't come with a receipt and an expiration date. I can't even walk down the road where the bars are at anymore. The lights, the music, the sound of clinking glasses, it all makes my stomach turn. It's like being in the middle of a casino after you've already gambled away your life savings. Sometimes I dream about her, not in the way you'd think. It's not romantic. It's me yelling, asking why, asking if she ever meant a single thing she said. I know the answer, but part of me still wants to believe she did, that maybe for a second she saw me as more than just a walking ATM with a heartbeat. That's the worst part. It's not just the money, it's the trust she broke. People say, "At least you learned something." Learned what? That I'm a gullible old idiot who fell for a girl half his age whispering lies in a hotel bed. That's some lesson. If you're an old guy thinking about coming to Thailand for a fresh start, just remember, the weather's warm, the food's great, and the healthcare is cheap. But the heartbreak? that'll cost you everything. What a story that is. Those are some costly lessons indeed for Jeff, and shout out to him for sharing his story. If you want to hear an even crazier story, click the video on your screen right now, and I'll see you there.